This video presents the AGOF support concept. AGOF is an official login procedure for e-government end users and the federal, cantonal and communal target applications. Consequently, AGOF support services are always provided in the context of the respective target application. If AGOF users need help, the focus is either on the target application itself or else on the process for login into the target application with AGOF. People who need help can choose between using the help mechanisms provided in AGOF or contacting the specialist unit for the target application directly. A target application's specialist unit may be a cantonal office, a communal administration, or the federal administration, for example. It provides support services and defines the contact details for the target application. AGOF generally does not publish any contact details itself, but it does offer a help portal with a self-service facility for opening a ticket. If those seeking help contact the wrong place, for example, the help desk of the Federal Office of Information Technology, Systems and Telecommunication, that unit will not open a case and will instead refer generically into the AGOF help portal. In the AGOF help portal, those seeking help must work through a decision tree that offers assistance. If users are unable to find a solution, they have to open a support ticket in the self-service area at the end of the decision tree. This means that a central AGOF-specific support unit that can be reached by telephone does not exist. The target application specialist units at federal, cantonal and communal level provide first-level support, process self-service support tickets and can be reached by telephone if they wish. Back to the self-service support ticket. It provides the following content: a validated email address for queries, the target application context, this is entered automatically or via a selection menu, answers to the main questions asked by those seeking help, description of the case provided by those seeking help. The path through the decision tree is automatically included in the ticket. The ticket is categorized and classified by the AGOF second-level support. If AGOF support identifies a problem requiring first-level support, it forwards the ticket to the specialist office for the target application or to another delegated office. If the problem relates to AGOF itself, the ticket remains with the AGOF second-level support for processing. First-level support can process the case in the AGOF ticket system or transfer the ticket to its own system. In this case, however, the ticket in the AGOF system may not be closed under any circumstances until the case has been effectively resolved or, if applicable, abandoned. At the very least, the closed status must be retransferred as soon as the ticket is closed in the AGOF system. These transfers can be automated once the appropriate interfaces are available. Until then, this must be done manually. If end users outside the AGOF ticket system reach first-level support directly, the latter is free to decide whether the AGOF ticket system should be used. The case can therefore be processed and closed entirely outside the AGOF ticket system. First-level support is obliged to use the AGOF ticket system only for accepting user self-service tickets, documenting the completion status and escalating to second-level support. If the support query cannot be resolved, the ticket has to be forwarded to AGOF second-level support, or else an AGOF ticket has to be opened if those seeking help contacted the specialist unit directly, for example by telephone. AGOF second-level support is in the Federal Office of Information Technology, Systems and Telecommunication. It contacts those seeking help directly based on the information in the ticket and tries to solve the problem. Second-level support is followed by third-level support, in the AGOV operations team for rare, technically complex cases. Now let's look at the support case groups. The first group includes all cases that are to be fully solved by first-level support itself. For instance, if it is not possible to log in, first-level support ideally provides assistance by phone, with screen sharing if necessary. The same approach is recommended for other things that end users cannot do, from self-registration to identity checks to installation of the AGOV Access app. Failed login due to insufficient AGOV authentication quality, referred to as AGOV AQ, is also part of this first group. If installation of the app fails, the support team must analyze the smartphone situation together with the person seeking help, i.e., the device being used and the operating system version. If this equipment is not suitable, FIDO tokens need to be used. The specialist unit decides whether to provide them or whether they are to be procured by end users themselves. If, however, the smartphone of the person seeking help meets the requirements, finding the app on the phone or in the App Store and missing access data for Apple's App Store and the Google Play Store could be a challenge. If such a case cannot be solved, escalation to second-level support is not appropriate in most cases, as they will not be able to solve the problem either. End users need to have a certain command on their basic equipment. Such difficult or unsolvable cases are covered in the fifth group. The second group includes all cases that fail after reaching the target application, even though the AGOV login worked. The third group concerns people seeking help who no longer have their AGOV access credentials. First-level support explains to them how to trigger a recovery email. They may need help locating this email, for example by telling them to check the spam folder. If the email is not received, the matter has to be escalated. The recovery email only allows direct recovery for AGOV AQ 100. In the case of higher AGOV AQ levels, a link is provided to create a so-called recovery account, for which the identity check needs to be performed again. Only AGOV second-level support can decide whether the recovery account data corresponds to the former AGOV account. If the result is positive, the credentials registered in the recovery process are transferred to the old account and it can be accessed again. The recovery account is deleted in the process. The fourth group deals with failed identity checks. Reasons for this include, for example, an out-of-focus camera during video identification, an unaccepted identity document, or failure to meet the verification deadline. In these cases, first-level support guides those seeking help in repeating the identity check. If the renewed attempt is also unsuccessful, it is a difficult or unsolvable case belonging to the fifth group. As the difficult or unsolvable cases in the fifth group can generate a significant support workload, due consideration is required before escalating them to the higher support levels. However, these cases also pose a reputational risk, as affected end users are prevented from accessing e-government services. Alternative analog channels are thus important, even if they are inefficient for the administration. Cases that are difficult to solve usually require direct personal support on site. The established cultural approach in Switzerland is to consult ICT experts among one's relatives and acquaintances. First-level support should ask straight out whether this option exists. In addition, the administrative units are free to offer in-person consultations. These are common in areas of extensive and inclusive digitalization. Examples include the shops of telecoms providers or the so-called genius bars of a well-known device manufacturer. In the AGOV ecosystem, care must be taken to ensure that operation is as simple and reliable as possible, and that support cases are rare. This requirement applies to the target applications as well. Furthermore, the support structures need to ensure that no end users are left out in the cold, thereby making e-government inclusive. Without comment, we will now look at the whole process schematically.